Hello, and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And this is Meg Leftal.
You're trying it different this week, too. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. It's middle of summer. Officially, I would say this is the middle of summer.
Oh, definitely.
Or at least the middle of July. And it's hot. But you know what? We can handle it.
We can handle it. Thank God there's air conditioning.
Well, yeah. I don't know about how I would have lived in pre-air-conditioned times.
I romanticize it all the time. To live in Victorian England and all this stuff. But I love air conditioning. I love movies. I love iPads. I love it all.
Oh, me too.
I'm glad I live now. Also as a woman.
True. So, speaking of summer, today, what we're going to be talking about is this movie called Dark Night of the Scarecrow. Mm-hmm. And in the summer, every summer, my family and I would go to this resort, and I think it was paid for by my dad's work, and because he had conferences there for this week, but we would stay at the resort and either swim in, they had a lake, but I would like to swim in the pool.
Yeah.
And
of course.
I would just watch movies and we would eat, and it was a wonderful week. And so as I got older, speaking of romanticizing, I would be like, I'm going to meet Patrick Swayze here.
I was just going to say, this is going to be a Dirty Dancing reference.
Yes.
And yes, I could feel it coming.
Because, and I was in 5th grade, but I was like, it's going to be some guy working here and we're going to fall in love. Because they were teenage busboys there.
It happens, okay, people?
Yeah. And nothing ever did happen, but it was so amazing to think about. Being 10 to 12 years old as a girl is I'm in love with everybody. At least yes, I was boy crazy.
Me too.
But it was so fun. And so when I was staying there one summer, I caught this movie on TV and it stuck with me. And I have not seen it since.
This movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like...
Not Dirty Dancing. Okay. That stuck with me too,
So you watched this movie at this resort.
Yeah.
That's the first time. Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Did you ever go anywhere in summers? See, now my summers were different because... my dad was a teacher, so he had the summers off. So we if we were doing family trips, it would always be in the summer. I guess everybody does because kids are off at school, but it made sense.
Yeah. We did a lot of driving. We were very much road trip family.
Yeah, we did too.
So when I grew up mainly in British Columbia, and when it was summer, we would drive to Minnesota for a vacation. That's where we would come on summer vacation to visit my dad's cousins and things like that. So that was when Mall of America was being built and things. So it was kind of nice because then when I moved to Minnesota, then I had vacationed here before and stuff. But that was, we did not go to theme parks or things like that. It was a vacation was driving, stopping in hotels with pools, that kind of thing.
So you didn't have a Patrick Swayze moment?
I didn't, and I didn't see Dirty Dancing until I was way older too.
Yeah, because I think I convinced you to watch it. I'm it's not as cheesy as you might think it is.
Yeah,
so or it is, but it's wonderful.
I was waiting for Hot Guy. I didn't know about Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
but yeah. Okay, so you mentioned to me, you're it's Dark Night of the Scarecrow. It was your turn to pick, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that. And then I watched it, and I was like, I've seen this.
Oh,
but
amazing.
It wasn't until you said it, and then I was like, I don't think I've seen that, and then I thought. Scarecrow, something in my head, Scarecrow, that fit, but and it's so strange because as I watched it, I would just have these little, feelings of memory, but I must have watched it when I was so young that, I didn't have, an actual full memory.
So the cool thing about this movie is, first of all, it's the first standalone Scarecrow villain movie ever. They've made other Scarecrow villain movies since, but it was the first one. And also, it was a made-for-TV movie. And it was in 1981. It aired. It aired on CBS.
I didn't know it was a TV movie until after.
Okay.
And I was researching it.
Yeah.
Even though on YouTube it literally said CBS on the where you click, but I just didn't make the connection. And then I was researching. I was like, oh, okay, because I think that sort of explained a few things to me. But yeah, as I was watching it, I did not realize it was made for TV.
So they wrote the script, and then it was made to be a feature-length film, but then CBS bought it, and they hardly had to change anything, which is good. And there's not much gore or anything in the movie, but they do it so well, and it's still creepy that you don't need to see everything. It's almost better if you don't see some stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So this story, if you're not familiar, it's a little reminiscent of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Because they call him intellectually challenged or something.
I mean, I don't know if they're that nice about it.
Well, no, they don't in the movie, but in like descriptions now.
Oh, okay. Sure.
They're not these
I'm like
vigilantes.
No.
But he's
go ahead.
Oh, he's friends with a child, and then of course the child gets injured. You think that maybe she's dead, but she ends up living. And then it's vigilante justice, and they're out to get who they think is the bad guy. His mom, who is Marlon Brando's sister, by the way.
Oh, and you're talking about Bubba.
Bubba's mom, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she tells him to hide in the Scarecrow costume in the field, and they find him in.
Which is actually a good idea.
Yeah.
I think hiding in a Scarecrow costume is actually a pretty good idea. But, okay, let's backtrack here for a minute. So, Bubba is hanging out in the field. We start out where Bubba's hanging out in the field with this little girl. It's weird. It's strange. I was like, what is happening? The mailman is spying on them. This girl is injured, right? Because then as they're walking back, she gets hurt by this dog. And Bubba is scared and he runs to his mom. Or no, he brings the girl to her mom.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, here's my question. Did she go to the Bloodhook School of Parenting? Like, her mom skills, like, her daughter's just out, like, and again, this is the 80s where, like, I guess kids just were out doing, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh my gosh, you know.
But she knows he's hanging out with Bubba.
But they implied that he had done something before this.
Do they?
They implied that he had caused child harm before this.
I didn't catch that.
Okay, and I was like, what is happening? And okay, so here's my question. If this point in the summer, if a man who referred to himself in the third person and was wearing overalls came and was like, I want to hang out with your kid outside, would you do it?
Well, obviously not. But if it was somebody who was in the town and you knew them and they were just part of the community, yes. I don't think this is like a new friendship that they started that day. I think it's somebody established.
You think like he's like, they have a sweet thing.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
The problem was there were so many implications that it was not.
I think because they're vigilante and vigilante justice never is right. And they're just being meanies.
What do you think about...
I will defend Bubba with my life.
Okay, because I was just like...
No, nothing's wrong with Bubba, except that he turns into a killer.
Well, yeah, and that was all justified, because the people who killed him were awful. So basically the Scarecrow... But my feeling was that there was all these implications, but then somebody, when I was doing research after, they implied that the main bad guy, Charles Durning, that he was, well, they've said a pedophile, and that was him. That was like where that was coming from. I mean, didn't you feel the pedophilia like?
Well, I understand people's fear of it, but
yeah.
I knew Bubba was innocent.
No, I didn't think Bubba was doing that, but I felt like...
No, Charles Durning definitely had something.
Yeah, he was
wrong. He was off.
Weird. But he was intellectually disabled, and he was with a little girl, and was he capable of taking care of her?
Well, no, it's like another child.
It's like she's playing with another child.
Yeah, he shouldn't be held
And there's that great moment where you think he's running away when the dog goes after her, and then he saves her. And that was really cute.
Yeah.
That was really cute. So you feel a fondness for Bubba.
I do.
Okay, I kind of felt weirded out.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
But you know what? I also rooted for Frankenstein's monster in Frankenstein.
Okay, so maybe it's just this underdog thing.
I have always loved the monsters.
Okay.
I loved King Kong. I wanted him to get away.
Yeah.
I love Beetlejuice. I wanted Lydia to marry him. I love vampires. I'm always like, why are they so scared? Just go with him. Like, it's fine. So
I felt like Bubba was too much of a caricature.
Okay.
Was how I felt.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
We're disagreeing, you guys.
The podcast is over. Okay, I love movies where you can root for the bad guy. Bad guy in quotation marks. Just like kind of like Carrie. Like, Carrie's going to go and kill these people and you're rooting for her because they're awful. And I know Bubba comes back as this Scarecrow and I'm like, yeah, get them because they're terrible.
Yes, they kind of turn things on their head and they kind of make it so that you're rooting for... But it's basically, well, I guess we don't know. Did Bubba live? They imply that, but that couldn't be because they have a trial for his murder.
Yeah, no, it's
definitely dead. It's definitely he's inhabited the Scarecrow. I wanted to read something I read. I found it was from a website called Daily Dead that somebody wrote. And he said, the lead-in program for Dark Night of the Scarecrow was the Walt Disney Show.
Oh my gosh!
A weekly show that features shorts and films from the Disney vaults. I can only imagine parents thinking they would be in for a spook fest along the lines of Ichabod Crane being chased by the Headless Horseman. I can also imagine their shock and their children's trauma when they ended up being subjected to whispers of pedophilia, pitchfork goring, grain silo drowning, thresher mulching, and a scarecrow who could only be found around the dark alleys of Oz. Nightmare fuel galore. So I thought that was funny, just thinking about how it was on TV right after the Walt Disney Show, and parents like, this will be fine. And, it was kind of intense.
Scaring their pants off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just need to give some more proof that these guys are the worst, this vigilante posse. They get the call telling them that the girl is fine, and it was the dogs who attacked her, and yet, do nothing about it. Like, they go after Bubba. They planted a weapon, the weapon of the pitchfork, and just lie about everything, saying, he was coming after us, so it was self-defense.
Yes.
Like, ugh!
Yeah,
and
they were awful.
I feel like this is just super timely, like, with everything happening in the world right now. It's like, this is unfair.
Yes, yeah.
And I wrote, Bubba, I love you. Kill them all. Like, because...
Wow, I can see why you were so quick to defend Bubba now.
I'm passionate about this. The little girl going out to check on him, and... she's got the matching nightgown and pajama or like robe set. Everybody has them in these movies, and she goes out there like, that's so creepy. Like, even if Bubba was my friend, I still wouldn't go out in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So that's what I remember about this movie is the little girl and her connection to the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
is what I remember.
And she was not afraid of him.
And I think like you, when I was a kid, I like dark things, and so that stuck in my head. That is a really neat part of this movie, and it helps because at least this girl's in this movie, because I think one thing I struggled with a little bit with this movie is that it was just focused on these, like, asshole men the whole time.
Right.
And so I found myself being kind of like, but there was that little girl and then Bubba's mom also, who helped.
And the girl, wasn't scared of him at all, which I thought was cool because if somebody that I loved came back as dressed as a scarecrow, I don't know if I would embrace them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because scarecrows are kind of scary, right?
So
I mean, they're kind of creepy just in general.
How you feel about Bubba is like how I feel about the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, like. And, of course, he wasn't bad. But I'm just saying, like, I have such a, like, tender feeling for him. And that's the only Scarecrow I can think of in, like, media.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is this movie called Scarecrows about these bad guys.
Is that a newer one or older one?
Yeah, it's probably, like, late 90s or, late 90s. And it's scary. But scarecrows, imagine, just out in the field, creepy. And they could come to life. That is scary. But I love the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah. And they, in this movie, have a couple parts where there's just the Scarecrow out in this, like, blank field, and there's nothing going on. There's that Scarecrow, and it's really creepy. They do a good job of that.
You mentioned Larry Drake plays Bubba. If you are familiar with Larry Drake, he was Dr. Giggles. That's a horror movie I've never seen, but I remember the VHS box. And then he was on L.A. Law. Did your parents watch L.A. Law?
No, I don't really remember that one.
I don't know that my parents did either, but I remember him being on that, like, during Oscar clips, Emmy clips.
Was very familiar to me, as was Charles Durning, who apparently has done everything, because I IMDb'd him, and he was, like, in a million things.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, and I'm just calling him Charles Durning, because I don't...
That's fine.
The main bad guy.
The postman.
Yeah, which, by the way, you're in big trouble if, in your town, like, the postman sort of becomes the police.
Oh.
Isn't that what happened? Yeah. Where he was, like, all of a sudden, like, a police person? Okay.
They deputized him or something.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very effective, but I just was a little confused. So, when he is in Bubba's mom's house, and he's behind her. Does he put his hand on her, and that's how she dies? Like, does he suffocate her?
Yeah, he suffocated her.
Okay. I think there was, like, something where I missed it or something, because, like, I thought, did she have, like, a heart attack? Or, like, it was...
No, he killed her.
He did kill her. But in that moment, I mean, I don't think he meant to, but, that was
I think he
cool.
did. I think
really?
Yeah.
No, really?
I don't know.
Because he put his hand over her mouth. And I think I was just confused because it, like, wasn't long enough in my mind, you know, or whatever. But he said, like, you have to be quiet because this and this. And then he turned around, and I thought he was, like, shocked that she was dead.
I think he meant to do it, but then he realized the implications. And so then he started the fire to cover it up.
Oh, yeah. I know he started the fire to cover it up, but I just thought, like, it was an accident, which I thought was kind of cool because...
It could be an accident.
It was like, oh, shit, like, this hole that I keep digging... Well, for instance, like, they shoot Bubba. Isn't it after that they find out that the girl was fine?
Yeah.
Remember they all shoot him, and then, because I thought that was really, like, oh, no.
Yeah, they get the phone call, and then they
him,
plant...
which they shouldn't have done. Like, obviously, they all, like, shot the Scarecrow. He had no way of defending himself, because he's, like, hiding as a Scarecrow. And, like, 4 or 5 men? All shoot him, which is awful. But then they get the phone call, like, oh, actually, she's not dead.
She's fine.
She's fine. And I thought that was, like, a really, like, oh, no moment. Where you're like, okay,
and then
is bad.
Then they plant the pitchfork to make it seem like he was attacking them.
And so then they show the trial, like, very briefly. But I think that's, like, what you were saying, like, what was apropos with the times right now. Because it felt like they got away with murder, which seems to be happening in this country.
Right. It was, So Bubba starts his revenge. He starts killing these guys, and it's so satisfying because they're all jerks, and they're all good old boys in this vigilante posse, and they all have interesting deaths. I think you named them in that guy's letter.
Oh, yes.
And so it's all, like, different farm equipment, and...
I really liked how they stuck with the theme. Like, they were like, this is a farm movie, this is a rural farm movie, and, like, we're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill all these people. But I was disappointed with the lack of Scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
That's what... Like, one guy dies in a grain silo, like, it gets filled up with grain and he suffocates. And then one guy... Oh, he falls into, like, a mangler.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, like, the Scarecrow.
Oh, okay.
So I was a little disappointed because, like, I wanted to see, like, the Scarecrow, like, you know, do it.
Yeah, true. Well, and perhaps they were leaving it ambiguous so that you didn't know if it was him, like, oh, it's the mother dressing up, or it's just the mother. And so you didn't know if there was that supernatural angle, but then, of course, at the end, we do see the girl with the Scarecrow.
There is that whole part where, like, they dig up Bubba's body to see if, like, he's somehow alive and doing it. Because, understandably, they can't believe it would be a supernatural thing, so they're like, maybe he's alive somehow. And that was really creepy when he kills the guy in the grave. Remember?
Yeah.
Doesn't he hit him?
Yeah.
Because the other guy wants to tell that he has guilt about what they've done to Bubba. But yeah, I like some of the death. I love, anytime you, like, fall into a mangler thing, like, that's great. But I was just like, oh, I want to see, like, the Scarecrow, like, be scary. Yeah. You know? So I was a little disappointed with that.
And I'm not going to defend the movie to my dying breath, because I've only seen it once, and I just have this memory of it.
So how, you said you're about 10, 12, or in that range? Mm-hmm.
And... I might have been younger than that. When I was 10 is when I started thinking about Patrick Swayze. And so, well, when we get to the questions, I'll answer some of it. Yeah. But I know it's not a perfect movie. No. I think it's interesting, though, that they put it on TV. Yes. And yet it's pretty scary and pretty good for a made-for-TV scary movie.
Oh, I think so.
Especially for 81.
Yeah, I think for the time. Good acting. I mean, like, I think we were saying, like, there was some, like, really kind of skeevy feelings about Charles Durning when he's interacting with the girl. It's very, like, off-putting, and it makes you just feel strange, and the girl even is a good actress. So I thought they cast it really well. But yeah, I think for me, I had some moments where I was like, yeah, this is cool, and then there would be these parts where it was too many white men, good old boy conversations where I was just like,
where they were just being worried about what they had done.
Yeah, and it's like,
more Scarecrow action.
I wanted more Scarecrow action. I wanted maybe the mom more and the little girl more. And that's some of those drawbacks, and I'd like to know what other people think about this. When you have a movie based on bad people and they are the ones that you're following, sometimes like that can be kind of, because really you can't really follow Bubba because it's like his spirit, so you're kind of left following these really bad guys,
and you're not rooting for them, right. So you're just waiting for them to die, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the things I kind of was like about. Like I said, I really do like how they stayed on theme with the farm. I mean, if you're gonna have a theme for your horror movie, like they
followed through.
Yeah, I think so.
I know this movie is now available on DVD, so you can buy it. I think it's still available, but it did come out on DVD eventually. Before though, you just had to sort of remember it and catch it if you could see it. Mm-hmm. But we both watched it on YouTube, so it's available on YouTube and easy to watch if you want to see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know who watched it when it originally aired.
Oh yeah,
that would be interesting.
Do you have any memories of it or when it re-aired?
It sounds like it came out around Halloween time.
Yep, in October of '81.
Okay, questions. Did it live up to your memories of it?
No, because I had only seen it the one time, and I watched it with the drapes pulled in the middle of the day, pitch black by myself in a hotel room. And when you're little, that it can't live up to that.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the ending when the little girl is giving the flower to the Scarecrow. It's such a that was a cool ending.
It is, and that too reminded me of Frankenstein's monster.
Yes,
and everything.
Yes.
So it didn't live up to it, but I still have fond memories.
Sure. Did any scene stand out to you in the rewatch?
I guess I didn't remember and realize how many non-scary or kind of boring scenes there were. Like you said, the conversations between the guys.
Oh, yeah.
All I remember are the deaths and the Scarecrow.
Yes.
And so it's like, there was more plot than that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Was there anything you didn't remember?
I guess I didn't remember, and I didn't notice this time, any sort of pedophilia angle with Bubba. I knew that they were implying it about him, but I still love him, and I'm defending him. Okay. He did nothing wrong.
No, he didn't do anything wrong. It was, but do you remember they were implying, and it wasn't a pedophilia thing, but they were implying that he had caused harm to somebody else. They're that kid, blah blah blah, and I was just
I don't remember.
Then I was like, ooh, okay.
I must have missed it.
Does it pass the Bechdel test?
I don't think so.
No, it's just a bunch of men, and there's some wives in there, but and I guess there's the mom. Well, you know what? Bubba's mom and daughter talk.
Oh, yeah. But the friend.
I think the point of this Bechdel test thing is we're really exposing the fact that sometimes we actually have to choose people who have a 2-minute conversation and say that passed. Has it really passed if we have to be
yeah. Well, sure. There definitely weren't enough. There was not enough women and not interesting characters.
Was it scary at the time?
Yeah. I remember being scared, thinking that Scarecrow was creepy.
Yeah.
And even though I know Bubba wouldn't harm me because I didn't do anything wrong to him, it's still creepy to think if a Scarecrow was standing outside your house.
If we just looked out this window
God, that's
and
so
there
creepy.
was a Scarecrow that just appeared there.
Yeah. That's scary.
Okay, so was it scary this time watching it? No. Okay.
How about for you? Were you terrified?
I liked when the scare. Yeah, I thought it was scary when the Scarecrow was out and they were walking toward the Scarecrow and it's out at night and I was like, what's gonna happen? But then it
didn't follow through.
Yeah,
on that.
The payoff wasn't as much as I was hoping. Yeah.
Hi Meg. Hi Kelly. Hi horror friends. Lisa here. This week I've made for you a drink inspired by the Dark Night of the Scarecrow, which I would like to call Night Harvest. Why I've chosen this harvest theme for you, scarecrows, I like to think, protect crops, protect harvests. So when I think scarecrow, I think things like pumpkins, corn, apples even maybe, right? So these are some of the things we're going to find in our drink today. First, we're going to start with some pressed apple cider, some bullet bourbon, we love this stuff, some vanilla extract, some pumpkin pie spice, and an orange. Now, why I chose bourbon for this cocktail. Something that I think is a fun thing to know is that all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons. And one of the core components of that is all bourbon must be at least 51% of their mash made of corn. So here's our corn in our cocktail. Let's get going. So we are going to start with our orange. Very simple. Grab a peeler. I just want a little bit of zest. So I'm going to peel off just about this much. Ta-da. And with this, I am going to give it a good twist, and it just sort of mists the inside. I want to go all the way around the rim. Done. Next, we are going to take in our shaker 1.5 ounces of that pressed cider, 2 ounces of that good bullet bourbon, just a very small amount, maybe like 3 drops of our vanilla extract. Helps not to breathe when you pour. And finally, just a single little dash, just like one and done on the pepper. Pumpkin pie spice. Cap it. Shake and shake. Now I know it's summer, and something I'm really actually starting to look forward to in the deep heat of New York is fall, and that's what the night harvest reminds me of. It's pie, it's cool, it's everything I want right now, and I want for the weather, and I want for you. Cheers to your night harvest.
All right, it's time for our fast forward segment. Meg, what are you talking to us about this week?
Well, I actually decided to do a book, so hopefully no one hates that.
No, I think anything that pop culture related that we're watching or reading.
All right, so I'm reading this book. It's been nice. I have it in paperback, so it's like been really good for like when I'm going camping and stuff like that. I've been bringing it. It's called The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. And I've heard about it many times. It came out in 2003.
Okay, yeah, I thought that maybe it was older.
Yeah. So it's been around a while. But I picked it up, I saw it, and I was just like, I gotta have this book. So I'm not even halfway through yet. But basically what it is it's a true book, but it's written in like a novel type form. And it's intertwining 2 stories. And one story is about the forming of the 1893 Chicago World Fair, which I understand sounds boring, but it's actually more interesting than you might think. And then the other side of it is about this serial killer named H.H. Holmes. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Is this the person who the American Horror Story Hotel was
I do think there
on?
are some, I didn't watch it, but I think there are some, things that they took from that. So, and it's actually going to be a Martin Scorsese movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, is he going to be the serial killer?
He is H.H. Holmes,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. But basically, the book recounts the life of H.H. Holmes, and it sounds fake, but he is a person who built a hotel for the 1893 Chicago World Fair because there were so many women and men coming from all over the country. And, of course, this was long before, there was any way to track people or anything like that. And his hotel was built for the sole purpose to murder people.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like something like from a Tim Burton movie, but it's actually true. And he had chambers in there where he could he would take pipes and put poison into the chambers.
Oh my gosh.
He in certain rooms, and he would choose what room to give you based on if you were his type of who he wanted to kill. So if a single woman would come into his hotel, he would be like, here's room, 213. And those rooms, no kidding, had ways for him to push their dead bodies, chutes, for him to, they were greased chutes.
Like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, like Sweeney Todd. He would push their bodies down there once he had killed them so that they would be in the cellar of this hotel.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's not, it does not sound real, but he is a real person. This really happened.
How many victims did he have? Do you know?
They really don't know. I think he said it was he only admitted to, I want to say, less than 10, but they think it could be upwards of 400.
What?
Yeah. So
That's
he's
nuts.
this amazing person that is not in a good way, that is just absolutely fascinating, and I'm excited to see the movie. But the book is just, it goes back into his childhood, and he went to medical school, and he's just a fascinating person. So you have to try to read this book. It's really good.
Did they film the movie already, or?
I believe they filmed it already. It's supposed to come out in 2017, but they don't have a date yet.
Okay.
Which I'm assuming, because it's a Martin Scorsese film, like, they're waiting for, like, Oscar time.
Yeah.
Like, maybe late fall, early winter. I don't know. But they still do not have a release date for it, so.
How do you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio playing a serial killer? Do you think he can pull it off?
I think he can pull it off. I think he's a good actor, and like H.H. Holmes was known to be very charming. He had several wives over his lifetime. A couple of them he killed, one he didn't.
Wow.
So I don't know. I think that's fascinating. It's kind of like, okay, what do you think? Like, Zac Efron's gonna be Ted Bundy.
Yeah, right.
So I mean,
I think it's interesting too. And Ted Bundy wasn't he charming?
Oh yeah, Ted Bundy was like, oh yeah, he was so charming and intelligent and educated and good looking. That I mean, when I heard Zac Efron was gonna play him, I was like, what? Because I wouldn't exactly picture that, but I'm actually kind of excited to see, because I mean, hey, why not?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I love Zac Efron.
Yes.
This is my full disclosure. I love him, and his abs are fine to look at. I think he can lose the abs, though, and he's still going to be marketable.
People were saying, like, if he's going to be Ted Bundy, he has to kind of change his physicality a little bit, because Ted Bundy was very good looking, but he wasn't, like, buff.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, and full disclosure, like, I watched Titanic many times in the theater. I was in love with Leonardo.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'm fine with him playing whatever he wants to play.
Yes, I'm happy that he got his Oscar finally, though.
I know, finally.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't for The Revenant, but that's okay.
I never saw The Revenant.
I don't think you'd like it.
I think that's why I didn't see it, because you were just like,
I mean,
you liked it, but you don't think I would like it?
No, I don't think I liked it. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's hard to watch somebody be in pain for so many hours, and know that it was sort of method acting, and that they really were living in these harsh conditions and stuff during filming, and it's just like, okay, yes, I get it, I just don't want to see it. Yeah. Life is too short. Give me more horror. I don't know.
Think of, you know what I meant to ask when we were doing Evil Dead 2, and I meant to ask this question, and now you saying that made me think of that, is if you were Bruce Campbell in that movie, or I was thinking like James Franco in 127 Hours, could you cut off your hand?
Oh, in real life.
If it was possessed by the Evil Dead,
yes.
Or if you were trapped.
Yes, I think I could. I think I could.
Really?
I think I could, because not to tell my birth story, but if you've given birth, if you've been in labor, like, you do what you have to do at the moment that you have to do it.
That's true.
Regardless of how much it hurts.
Wow, that's inspiring. Because I was feeling like if I was put in that position, like, I would just be like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna die here because I can't cut off my own hand. Like, I tried to pluck a hair off of my leg the other day, and it hurt too bad, and I just cut it.
You coward.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I was just like, I don't think I could do this. Now, if you told me you have to cut off your arm to save your children,
yeah,
then I think I could do it. But if it was just like, you have to cut off your arm so you can get out of here, I don't know.
So there's this theory that we teach in communication. It's called the Johari window, and one of the parts of us is unknown, and we don't know things about ourselves until we go through them, or until we're tested. And so, for example, when that boy a couple years ago fell into the gorilla cage, and, like, the parents didn't dive in after him, people were like, well, I would have dove in. Like, I would have saved him. But we don't know what we would do in that moment. And a month after that happened, I was at a petting zoo with my daughter. She was 2 at the time. And she was just, like, out playing, and then all of a sudden this llama started to rush her, like, just running towards her. Oh my God. And I should have, like, ran and grabbed her and, like, dove out of the way with her, but instead I was frozen, and I just screamed her name. I was like, Vienna! And she turned around, and then the llama at the last second, like, moved and didn't hit her. But I was thinking, okay, I imagine that I would dive in to the gorilla cage, but in that moment of fear, when the llama was rushing her, I didn't do anything except scream her name. So we don't know. I imagine that I
true.
could cut off my arm, but maybe I couldn't. Or you imagine that you couldn't, but maybe you could.
That's a good point. Let's hope we're never in that situation.
Right.
So we don't have to find out. Could you cut off my arm?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I could do it. But, you think, oh, if this happened to me in life, this is the way I would react. Right. But we don't really know.
We don't really know.
And that's the kind of the thing that's fascinating. That's the thing that's fun about horror movies, too. Yes. It's like, well, I wouldn't go down in the basement, but...
Yes, but yeah, we all have those moments where we do something stupid, and then we're like, oh, I'm alone in the forest right now, or something.
So, how are we going to rank Dark Night of the Scarecrow?
Well, I mean, pitchforks.
We did bloody pitchforks for Invasion of the Blood Farmers a few weeks ago.
Oh, no, okay.
Could we repeat?
No, we can't repeat. That would just be
How
egregious.
about the mask, the Scarecrow mask?
Okay.
Scarecrow mask. Or something like a thresher.
Yeah. I think threshers are too big to work with. I've made that judgment.
We'll do creepy Scarecrow masks on a scale of 0 to 10, being 0 you hated it, 10 being it was a perfect movie. How would you rank Dark Night of the Scarecrow?
I'm going to give it... What did I give Bloodhook? A 3?
No, you gave it a 1.
No, I gave Invasion of the Blood Farmers a 1.
Oh, Bloodhook. I don't know what you gave Bloodhook.
I think I gave it 3, so I'm going to give Dark Night of the Scarecrow a 4.
Oh, I think that's really generous.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give it a 3.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I should downsize.
Well, if you want to.
I think you liked it better than I did.
No,
You just have that.
I just appreciate it for nostalgia. And that's the thing about this podcast is that some things we realize from our childhoods. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not great, but I still remember watching it, and I have fond memories. And I can admit that it's not a good movie.
Yeah. I think I'll stick with 4 because I think that there was actually parts of it that I think it actually made it some social commentary, and it was well acted.
It just didn't follow through with the Scarecrow.
I wanted a Scarecrow to, at the very end, he kind of, like, falls into the pitchfork, but, like, I wanted a Scarecrow to, like, really have this, like, amazing moment where he kills somebody that's scary, and I'm just like, oh my god, I just didn't have that.
Let's watch the movie Scarecrows later, and there's some good scary Scarecrow action.
Good. Then I'll be satisfied. I'll get my Scarecrow action.
Now, this book... and upcoming movie. It's called The Devil in the White City. In the White City. How would you rank this on scary Scarecrow masks?
I'm going to give it an 8 right now. I'm enjoying it, and I haven't even seen a trailer. There's not a trailer for the movie, I don't think, or anything. But it has, it's going to be Martin Scorsese and stuff, so I think it's going to be a high caliber movie. So I'll just wrap them all up both with an 8.
I'm going to give it a 7. Mm-hmm. I'm excited after I see the trailer, read the book, my ranking may go up. Okay, Meg, tell everybody where they can find us if they want to invest further in our...
Well, if you are going to be in St. Paul, Minnesota, you should come visit me on Sunday, August 6th. I'm going to be at a books and beer event.
Where's that?
Well, I had it up on my phone and then I lost it. Oh. It's going to be at a brewery. Why don't you talk and I'm going to find it?
I think I've heard about these books and beer events. I mean, they're like a nationwide thing, right?
I don't know. Oh. But it's it basically is like a pop-up bookstore in a brewery.
Yeah.
And let me see. Oh, it's going to be at Black Stack Brewing in St. Paul. And I'm going to be there on, like I said, Sunday, August 6th from, I think, about 1 to 6.
Nice.
And some other great authors are going to be there, too. And we're going to be drinking beer and signing copies of our books. So if you happen to be in St. Paul this summer, stop by.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then also, if you want to find us online, we have our website up and running, horrorrewind.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the other social medias, also under Horror Rewind. If you want to sponsor an episode, remember to email us at horrorrewindpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get you the information for that. Anything else, Meg, that you want to say to the public?
If you see a scarecrow, just leave it alone.
And
just consider it like Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
Like, don't go anywhere near it.
Yeah, I think so. Leave the scarecrows alone.
Leave the scarecrows alone. They're doing their job. They're scaring the crows.
Or are they?
Or us.
We'll see you in the horror section.